I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of November 9th, 2011. It's another great week at Alter Ego, and we've got a stack of stuff to get to, so let's get right to it. First up, we've got Avenging Spider-Man #1. This is written by Zeb Wells, who's been doing a lot of work on Robot Chicken for you Adult Swim fans, and artwork by Joe Madura, who is an extremely popular artist. He's worked in video games. He has worked for Marvel in the past. He was really big with the X-Men in the 90s. And I'm telling you, the artwork in this is outstanding. It's nice to see him back doing a regular, hopefully monthly book at Marvel. You'll notice that it's in a shiny polybag here. Avenging Spider-Man, actually all of the Avenging Spider-Man issues at this point, we're being told will include a digital redemption code that lets you go online and download a free digital copy if you buy the print copy. So the codes are inside the book, hence the polybag. But it's Marvel Team Up for the 21st century. And if you enjoyed Marvel Team Up in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, it's got a very similar feel. The first team up is Red Hulk and Spider-Man, and it involves the Mole Man. And it was a very enjoyable first issue. Looking forward to see what comes next. And again, if you pick up the printed copy, you can download a digital copy for free.
Next up, we've got House of Night #1. This is the first comic series based on PC Cast's House of Night novels. I did, as a disclaimer, hadn't read any of the novels. I picked it up, I followed it, and I thought it was interesting. I'm definitely going to keep following it. For those of you that had read the novels, this one actually takes place between the scenes in Betrayed. So it's not stuff that we saw in the novels, but kind of background stuff or filling in the story and fleshing it out. If you're not familiar at all with them, it's very cool, kind of supernatural vampire stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I'd like to see where it goes.
Wolverine #18, no surprise here. It's becoming predictable what I'm going to talk about. Maybe what we're both going to talk about, depending on the week. But Jason Aaron and Ron Garney continue to tell a very fun yarn involving Wolverine on his... he's kind of in between leaving Utopia and starting the school, the new Jean Grey School for Higher Learning in Westchester. And it involves some cool stuff. There's some laugh-out-loud moments in the first part of this book. So Aaron really has captured, I think, the essence of Wolverine. And I'm not a big Gorilla Man fan, but he's pretty funny. So I might go back and check out some Agents of Atlas. So I continue to enjoy Wolverine. There has not been an issue of this series since it started that I did not like.
Got Battle Scars #1. This is a 6-issue limited series that's part of the Shattered Heroes banner, kind of following Fear Itself Fallout. And it centers on an American soldier who was stationed in Afghanistan during the Fear Itself madness that went on. And so we both see what it was like in other parts of the world where it's already crazy during Fear Itself, and also what happened to his family stateside during the Fear Itself and the kind of madness that ensued. It was really good. It posed some interesting questions. It's kind of a conspiracy theory or a whodunit thing, and you get to see some of your Marvel favorites. You got Taskmaster, and we're going to have Cap and Fury and all the other big players, and it was a decent read. You should check it out.
Batman and Robin #3, written by Peter Tomasi, artwork by Patrick Gleason. Same creative team as the past two issues. And first off, I want to give a thumbs up to DC for putting these books out on time. Since the New 52 started back in September, we've seen all of the books that are supposed to ship, or all the books that shipped the first week in September, the next issue shipped the first week in October, the next issue shipped the first week in November.
Except for Batgirl.
Except for Batgirl. I don't know what's up with that. And Justice League was on a different schedule. But everything else is shipping the same week of each month, which is nice because you know what's going to be coming out. Batman and Robin continues to be a pleasant surprise. I read some of Grant Morrison's run, and I liked it. It just didn't hook me like this one is. It's different than the other Batman titles that I'm enjoying right now, Detective and Batman, because you get to see that father-son dynamic between Bruce and Damian. And while Damian was not the most likable character, and still is not the most likable character in the DC universe, he is an interesting character, and he's brought something different and dynamic to the Batman family. So Batman and Robin is where you're going to get your dose of Damian, and so far so good.
On the collected edition front, we've got Darth Vader and the Lost Command. This is a miniseries in the Star Wars universe that came out earlier this year. This is set during the Dark Times. Vader is out hunting down Jedi and completing missions for the Emperor, and it was very good. It's in a nice hardcover format. Makes a great gift for any Star Wars fan this holiday season.
Green Lantern #3 continues the goodness. Jeff Johns, Doug Mahnke. Just the dynamics between Sinestro and Hal Jordan are worth the price of admission for this one. It's just really good. It's a solid Green Lantern story, and right now does not involve the Rainbow Coalition of Lanterns, which confused the heck out of me when I was reading Green Lantern towards the end of the series. So I'm glad that Johns has kept it kind of straightforward. We're seeing a different take on the Guardians, a different take on Ganthet, and I'm truly enjoying it. I think Green Lantern is one of the stronger new titles out of the New 52, and you should be reading it. Sorry, I'm losing it. I'm losing my voice and I'm losing my enthusiasm.
Got Batgirl number 3 out this week. Again, I keep saying this, the reboot is sort of working for me. When I was old enough to read comics, Nightwing and Batgirl had been acquainted and been flirting and dating and whatever for like 20-some years by the time I could pick up a book and read it. And now, because the universe is younger and everyone involved is younger, we get to see some of that interaction again. We've got Dick and Babs, and you've also got some great scenes with Babs and Gordon, and it's just a lot of fun. Batgirl is probably the one that has improved most from the first issue to the third issue of the New 52. I'm loving it and waiting for it every week, month, whenever it comes out.
It comes out weekly. My pick of the week, it looks like might be Josh's pick of the week too, not to give anything away here. Ultimate Comics Spider-Man number 4. Again, no surprise, I've loved every issue of this series. Last week we got the question, which current series would you take with you if you were going to a desert island, or if you could only get 3 series for the rest of your life? And this is one of those series for me. Bendis is really knocking it out of the park with this. The artwork by Sarah Pichelli is outstanding. And the really cool thing about this one is we get to see the interaction or kind of crossover. Miles Morales witnesses the death of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and we get to see what kind of impact that has on him. We're also seeing some other supporting cast members from Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, the previous incarnation, showing up in this book. They're not necessarily interacting directly. That's what I meant to say. See what happens when we shoot this at a different time of day? It's afternoon now. We usually do it in the morning. But it's really, it has the most potential, I think, of any Marvel book out there right now to go on for years and years and years. And one of the things that I'm also excited about is I did give this to my 12-year-old son, and it's his favorite comic right now. I gave him a batch of the New 52 and Ultimate Spider-Man and some other books, and this is the one that he's enjoying the most and can't wait for the next issue. In fact, he's asked me over the last few weeks, when's there a new Spider-Man? So I do think it's appropriate for that 12 and up range. And kudos again to Brian Bendis and Sarah Pichelli for giving us a book that adults and kids can enjoy, and a new version of Spider-Man that hopefully will go on for years.
My pick of the week is Ultimate Spider-Man. I've also enjoyed every issue. I don't necessarily pick it every week because I know he's going to talk about it. But no, Ultimate Spider-Man's been great, and I especially like this issue because one of the key things of Spider-Man, part of the original Peter Parker origin, is the death of Uncle Ben, and with great power comes great responsibility. And this is kind of the turning point in Miles' life where we see how he gets that message and how he gets on the path to being Spider-Man. And it's just exceptionally good. And also, if you're going to compare it page by page to the Peter Parker origin, they did everything that's happened to Miles in the series happened in the first issue of The Amazing Fantasy, the original Peter Parker origin. And this is one time when I'm not going to complain about decompressed storytelling. It took them, they're taking 4 or 6 issues to do what essentially is an origin story, and they're doing a really nice job with it. They're fleshing out the character, you understand what's going on, and you really feel for the kid. So, Ultimate Spider-Man is awesome.
This week, another big Marvel title. It was a big week for Marvel. Marvel Point One came out. It's a 65-page, oversized book. 7 new stories. Some of the top creators at Marvel: Jeff Loeb, Brian Michael Bendis, Brian Hitch, Matt Fraction, other artists, Ed McGuinness, Terry Dodson. And it sets up what we're going to be seeing in the Marvel Universe, or some of what we'll be seeing in 2012. It's a $5.99 book, but we're actually offering it for $3.99 for the time being, because we want everyone to check it out and get on board with it. And it's the same price right now as a regular Marvel comic, so you really can't go wrong checking this one out. We did get a question on the YouTube feed from SCH99 who wanted to know what our top supernatural horror-themed books are. Now, I don't know if we're talking of all time or if we're talking about current supernatural horror books, but I'll take a stab at this, and I'm going to go with current stuff, and it's going to look very similar to a list I gave out a couple weeks ago. But for me, American Vampire is a no-brainer. It's not only a strong horror book, it's just a very strong, very good comic book. I've said this to someone in the store the other day. I am not a big fan of horror comics. I'm not. I prefer superhero comics, absolutely. But I'm enjoying American Vampire because it's such a strong comic book. There are comics across different genres that are just really well written, really well drawn, that have characters that pull you in, and American Vampire is one of those. Staying with Scott Snyder, I'm going to go with Severed. Severed, it's only got 3 issues out, and it is awesome. It's Twilight Zone meets creature feature, that type of thing.
Is it technically a supernatural book?
It's a horror book.
Yeah. No spoilers.
But it's really good, and I can't wait to see where it's going. And from what Snyder's saying, I mean, things only amp up from here, and the first 3 issues have been really, really good. And then another one that I've talked about before is Lock and Key. It doesn't get the love that it should. And it's written by Joe Hill, art by Gabriel Rodriguez. They've been the same creative team on this book. They do a series of miniseries, and they're currently on the 5th volume, and we've been told there will be 6 volumes of Lock and Key, and then that's it. At least that's what they've told us. And it's another one. It's good comics. Whether you like horror books or supernatural books or not, I challenge anyone to pick up the first volume of that and not walk away and just go, man, that was really good. So there are plenty that we could delve into in the past, but I'm sticking in the present. What are you doing?
Present books, the easy answer is Supernatural. It's only on issue 2, but I've really enjoyed both issues of Brian Wood's Supernatural series based on the TV show, and it's just been very solid, good character-driven writing. Another current book, House of Mystery. I'm always a sucker for anthology series where, each issue could be different from the last, or a different story arc, or kind of a one-off. And House of Mystery does that better than almost any book on the stands right now. I mean, one issue could be set in medieval times, and the next could be about modern texting demons, and it's just awesome. From Bill Willingham and Matthew Sturges, who you remember from Jack of Fables and Fables, respectively. If we delve into classic briefly, I would absolutely have to go with Sandman. Sandman is like the original modern horror comic, and it's another one that's kind of anthology in nature. It covers everything. Anything that you might be afraid of is in there sooner or later.
So hopefully that gives you some pointers there, SCH99. If you're local, stop in. We'll be happy to discuss this further with you. As always, we appreciate your comments and questions in the comments area below, so feel free to fill that up with comments and questions. And I apologize for my voice. Hopefully things come through okay here. I'm still battling the demons of pneumonia, and hopefully we'll regain my voice by next week. So, as always, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you back here next week.